Welcome to the midweek throwdown. I'm Fred Arnold.
And I'm Trevor Gill.
I guess the first thing that's probably on everybody's mind, Trevor, and has been for the last few days, is the Bo Pelini situation. What do you think?
Well, judging from just his comments alone, it's pretty hard to take. As a Nebraska fan, it's something that kind of hits home to me.
There was a poll a couple days ago about whether he should be fired or whether he should be retained. Unscientific poll, I believe, was conducted by 1011 News. It was 20% said he should be fired, 80% said he should be retained. I guess I'm leaning more towards the fire side because maybe fire is a little strong word, or dismissed. It's okay, I think, for a coach to yell at his players. I think it's okay for a coach to yell at the media because the media is the media and sometimes they need to be yelled at.
Exactly.
But to be dropping F-bombs about the fans, I think that's totally unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree, especially when you call, of all the fans in the nation, the Husker fan base, Fairweather fans, when we packed Memorial Stadium for 50 odd years.
Since full house since 1962, continuous sellouts. I don't think you can call Nebraska fans Fairweather fans.
And not only did he call the fans out, but he also called a Husker legend out too, and Tommy Frazier, saying, well, we don't need him. If that's the way he feels, and we don't need him.
Well, I think you're right. I think maybe we don't need Coach Pelini.
Especially nowadays with the onset of social media and such, you have to be on call, on guard all the time.
I agree. You know, and I think Bo's had plenty of chances with people trying to work with him, and I know there are a lot of college programs out there that would really like to have the record that Nebraska has, but I think the bar's set a little bit higher if you're in Nebraska, and we're just not meeting that bar.
And he had to know that coming in. I mean, yes, he's won no less than 9 games in all the seasons he's been here, but he's also lost no fewer than 4. And every year it seems like we have at least 1 or 2 big blowout games in the big games.
Well, it just seems like we're not winning the big games, and I realize that you know, winning isn't everything.
And you can't win them all.
And you can't win them all. But again, when you're Nebraska, I mean, the expectations are very high, and you know, I'm just not sure Bo's meeting those expectations. And in a lot of places, I think ultimately what happens to him now will be decided by either the fan base or the donors. You know, if the money dries up. I remember when Callahan was coach and the booster money dried up. That was pretty much the end of the Bill Callahan era. What are you thinking? Bo Pelini stays, Bo Pelini goes?
I really think the only way that he could save his job right now would be to not only win the Big Ten, but to take us to a BCS Bowl and win it. That's the only thing I think can save his job right now.
So is that your official prediction?
That's my official prediction.
Another topic that that a lot of people are talking about are the Kansas City Royals. They're amazing this year.
Yeah, I mean, considering they are only, what, 2.5 games back to the last wild card?
2.5 games back. They're in the last week of the season. I read this morning that according to Bleacher Report, they have a 12% chance of making the postseason, according to Bleacher Report. But there again, the fact that we're even talking about the Kansas City Royals being in contention in mid-September is amazing. The last postseason appearance they had was during 1985.
Their World Series run?
Their World Series run. They have not made the postseason since 1985. That is the longest drought by any major league team, not just baseball, of any major league sport.
That's crazy.
Almost 30 years. So what do you think? The Royals in, the Royals out?
I don't know. Baseball is one of those sports that a couple of games can swing it one way or another. So it's going to be, I think it's going to come down to the wire. I really do. I'd like to see him make it. I think it's going to be a turnaround for, seems like it's going to be a turnaround for Kansas City sports in general, with the Chiefs starting out 2-0 too.
Chiefs 2-0. Last year they won 2 games.
Yes, the whole year.
And now they're sitting at 2-0. As of this recording, I think they have played their Thursday night game already. Didn't they play Thursday night this week?
I'm not positive.
I think that, yes, they have the Thursday night game this week against the Philadelphia Eagles, Andy Reid's old team.
Oh, that's right, it is.
So, looking forward to how that one turned out. It's over as of this recording. But yeah, the Chiefs, go Kansas City. What were you telling me about the Royals and the Yankees?
Well, last I looked, they both had the same record, which I'll bet you it's been a while since that happened.
When's the last time that happened?
It's probably been, probably since the mid-'80s.
Oh, the mid-'80s? I think, and my memory has to go back a long ways, but I think the Yankees, I think the Royals beat the Yankees in a divisional playoff to get to the series in '85. And I'm not a Yankees fan, so anytime the Yankees lose, anytime the Cowboys lose, it's a good day for me. One of the other topics I wanted to briefly mention, speaking of baseball, I found a little fact. And I don't know if you were a baseball player or not when you were a kid. I was probably the worst baseball player ever to come out of Fairbury. That the furthest a baseball has ever been thrown was by Philadelphia Phillies outfielder Glenn Gorbas. He threw a baseball in 1957 of 455 feet 7 inches.
That's as long as some home run, isn't it?
Yeah. We'd have to ask sports editor Jim Phelps about that, but I think that's longer than a lot of home runs. I personally couldn't throw a baseball from home plate to second base, so I just kind of found that an interesting little fact. Fairbury, what are you thinking about Fairbury athletics?
Well, the football team's off to a rocky start. It could partly be in part to the new coaching and new philosophies, and players aren't getting used to it yet, and hopefully that gets smoothed out a little bit, because I know it's hard for the kids to go out there and play week in, week out when you're not competitive, I guess.
It's a numbers game, and I actually thought they would win against Auburn last week, and they got beaten pretty soundly. This weekend, they're at Hastings against, I believe it was Hastings Adams Central, and always a powerhouse team. Fairbury's got a really, really tough schedule. And they're at home the following week. It's their homecoming. I believe that's against Fillmore Central. They're a little bit more Fairbury size, and hopefully it'll be a good win for the Jeffs. And the volleyball team, I think, is doing fairly well. I went and watched them play last week against their Central, and they're certainly competitive.
I watched that game too. It was from JV up to the varsity. They're getting there.
They're certainly competitive, and the softball team, I think, is doing well, as is the cross country team. So it's not a washout for the Jeffs. I know there have been some disappointments with all the teams, but I think,
you always go out there and play to win.
Well, sure. Nobody wants to go out. Nobody wants to go out and play to lose. But the last topic I think I'd like to talk about is I know your family are big into hunting. Are you personally a hunter?
I am not. I'm the black sheep or the outcast of the family. I went out bow hunting a few times when I was younger, but it just never really interested me. But yeah, the rest of my family is very into it.
I was quite a bit when I was younger. I did a lot of pheasant hunting, and mainly because I hunted a lot for food, because during the young years, it was tough, being able to afford the groceries. And then I decided that I didn't particularly like to hunt because it was always rainy and cold and wet, and then you had to clean whatever you got. But I was thinking about hunting this year, and the ammunition situation in the stores is pretty bleak. So I was really wondering how that was going to affect hunting. Your folks, your folks are big bow hunting people.
Yeah.
But how's their business doing?
They've actually been really steady and really good so far. They had their open house about a month ago, and that went over really well. Seems to be picking up quite a bit. I think a lot of their business pickup has to do with everybody's freaking out that you're going to take your guns away and there's not going to be ammunition, so they're kind of looking for another way to get out there and still be able to hunt.
I actually thought about your folks, and I was up at Orshlands and over at Bedlands, and their ammo supply is just almost nothing, and I wondered about your folks, and if that would positively affect their business. I mean, you might give them a little bit of plug on your folks there and tell them what kind of business they got.
Sure. My parents, Greg and Marty Gill, they run the Blue River Archery Store up at Prairie Point Plaza, and they offer all kinds of bows, Matthews, Hoyt, PSE, and all kinds of arrows and any kind of accessory you could want. They have shooting lanes that you can go up there and shoot and sight in and get ready for hunting season.
So, if you're wanting to hunt this year and ammo's a little scarce, go on up and see Greg and Marty, and I'm sure they'll help you out. So,
I'd be more than happy to.
Anything you'd like to add for this week?
Well, I just hope the Packers pull out another win against Cincy.
Trevor and I are both huge Packer fans, and they're playing Sunday against the Bengals, and important for the Packers to win. It's always important for the Bears to lose.
Yes.
They're right up there with
and the Vikings.
And the Vikings and the Lions.
Yep.
So go Packers. So thanks a lot, Trevor, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Stop by Marcy's Hallmark October 5th and 6th to save up to 70% off select Precious Moments, Hallmark ornaments, Jim Shore and Boyd Spare collectibles, and more. You won't want to miss this. Marcy's Hallmark, located inside the Prairie Point Plaza in Fairbury.